Hello, my name is Shomashri and I am the Wire's news editor. I'm one of the team of 8 people who are responsible for the tech stories that the Wire produces in English. So far in 2025, we've published roughly 8,880 articles spanning reports, breaking news, analyses, and op-eds. Most articles were news, some of them made news. Throughout the year, Indians died in situations that should not have arisen had an effective and responsible administration worked the way it should have. The year began with no stampede, and certainly none at Prayagraj, where the relentlessly publicized Mahakumbh was afoot. The Uttar Pradesh government admitted to 30 and then 37 deaths, but an investigation later found that the actual number was at least 82. The next month, the stampede killed at least 18 in the New Delhi railway station. For the railways already hobbled by failures, this was the chronicle of a disaster foretold. In Bengaluru, 11 people died at an IPL team's victory event. 9 people died in an Andhra Pradesh temple crowd crush. At actor-politician Vijay's rally in Karur, 39 people died. In Rajasthan, Deep Mukherjee reported how warnings were ignored as a school wall collapsed, killing 7 children. For one stampede in Puri, meanwhile, authorities blamed AI. Few words have become the source of as much irritation and anxiety this year as AI, and Astha Savyasachi, in a series of reports, shed light on exactly why. In Delhi, predictive policing is shaped by controversial AI firms with a troubling history of alleged human rights violations, surveillance abuse, algorithmic bias, and data leaks. It's no surprise who bears the brunt. That surveillance is a multi-edged sword was driven home spectacularly not just by Astha's reports but by the Indian government, which asked phone makers to ensure that the government's own cybersecurity app cannot be deleted. The order was withdrawn, but Christophe Jaffrelot wrote in his column that it displays an insatiable appetite for surveillance. Consent, the Wire's ombudsperson Pamela Philippos wrote in one of her fortnightly columns, is a word that's missing from the government's lexicon. This is a good moment in this video to note the significant and worrying downslide of press and academic freedom, as well as the freedom of expression seen in India this year. Often it has felt like the spirit of the truth has no takers at all. Our articles have recorded the censoring of 100-year-old films, the ban of the possession and sale of 25 books in Jammu and Kashmir, the erasure of Mughals and the South from NCERT textbooks, and the arrest of celebrated activists when their words became a source of discomfort for the government. The Indian government watched while women journalists were kept out of an Afghan press conference. A second presser, in which the Afghan foreign minister said this was not intentional, saw the front few rows occupied entirely by women, among whom was the Wire's diplomatic editor, Devirupa Mitra. But we are not done on press freedom yet. In Jammu, a journalist's family home was demolished after he shed light on links between cops and smugglers. But then, in an extraordinary move that tugs at the heartstrings of whatever India used to be, the Muslim journalist's Hindu neighbor gave away his plot of land to the displaced family in a gesture meant to reflect Hindu-Muslim amity. Meanwhile, the journalist who reported on these events for The Wire was himself recently visited by police, and his phone was seized and kept for several hours. Jahangir Ali had been reporting of late on allegations by a senior official of a hydropower project that a local BJP legislator was forcing the management to employ workers and contractors on political and religious grounds. In the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack, in which 26 civilians died, and India's Operation Sindoor against Pakistan, The Wire's website was blocked for nearly a day on May 9th. This was because The Wire published a report on a CNN battle update. Our site was unblocked after this report was removed. In June, an Indian defense attaché said in Indonesia that during Operation Sindoor, the IAF lost fighter jets to Pakistan because of the political leadership's constraints. The Wire reported on this claim and on what the Indian embassy in Jakarta said in response. Months later, The Wire came to know that Assam police had registered an FIR against its journalists over this report. Just as the Supreme Court issued an order protecting The Wire from coercive action, a second FIR was mobilized against 9 journalists, interviewees, and writers associated with The Wire, this time invoking the sedition law. In a long piece, we broke down what the seditious articles and interviews were about. The rise in tensions between India and its neighbor, meanwhile, permitted many Indians to lose the very last strand of inhibition they had, and hate was unleashed against Muslims in a way that undid the very essence of India. Through the year, violence has defined the way the government and its supporters have looked at Muslims. In a long analysis, The Wire's political editor Ajoy Ashirwad Mahaprabhu Prashastha, said that in BJP-ruled states, police personnel have shown no hesitation in displaying their communal streak. In Assam, Muslims have been evicted with little attention to due process. From across India, Bengali-speaking Muslims have been rounded up and pushed into Bangladesh with no regard for what the move will do to them or their families. The Wire's special series, Banished Indians, has tried to shed light on these injustices. Negligence and apathy have defined the year for the poorest, despite what the government claims on poverty decline in India. Alarming statistics reported upon by Deputy Editor Janvi Sen show that inequality in India is among the highest in the world. Anirudh SK, meanwhile, reported on a tribal couple in Telangana who said that they had endured 3 years of bonded labor and lost 2 children in the process in an effort to repay a 15,000 debt incurred by an acquaintance. Our stories show that it has been a dangerous and unfair year for those belonging to Dalit communities, those that earn their living through labor, those who could do with a guarantee of work, those who want to travel against tickets they have paid for, and those who want shelter in this country. Amidst the unending losses of life and property in climate disasters, the government and courts have worked assiduously to ensure environmental safeguards are diluted to the point where life imitates farce. This is something that the Wire's environment reporter Athira Perincherry has kept a very close eye on. Across India, the Special Intensive Division of Electoral Rules has exposed injustices in the very methods which we employ to carry out exercises like these. Allegations of wider electoral malpractices aimed at aiding the ruling party have kept the year on the boil. My colleagues Shravasti Dasgupta, Pawan Korada, Aparna Bhattacharya and Joydeep Sarkar have kept and continue to keep a close eye on the numbers, and more importantly on what the gaps in the numbers tell us. Finally, I had ended last year's wrap with a note on Sukanya Shanta's prison rights series and how the Supreme Court had delivered a historical order in the petition she had moved against caste discrimination in India's prisons. Now, Sukanya is back with a new series which she has been working on for the last 2 years. This is on what lies behind the National Investigation Agency's 100% conviction rate. The product of it travels across several cities and towns. These stories give you an idea of the morass of injustice that underlines Indian law and order. A lot of terrible things happened and continue to happen, but I will end this wrap with a piece that the Wire's editor Seema Chishti wrote in the aftermath of India's Test victory against England in August this year. In it, Mohammad Siraj bowled some 1,100 deliveries to hand India an unbelievable win. Months later, Indian women won the Cricket World Cup at home. I'm inclined to agree with what Seema wrote. There is plenty in the world to be savoured. We'll bring you more such stories next year. Thank you.